Why do America and Israel focus so much on Iran? Among many Islamic countries, Iran stands out as a central concern. The reasons are rooted in power, history, oil, and clashing visions of governance. Iran is a large, influential nation in the Middle East. What happens there ripples across the region. Unlike its Arab neighbors, Iran is Persian, with a proud history stretching back thousands of years. This deep national identity shapes its politics and foreign relations. Once a close ally of both America and Israel, Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution transformed it into a fierce opponent. Since then, Iran's leaders have positioned themselves as challengers to Western influence, fueling decades of tension. The biggest flashpoint today is Iran's nuclear ambitions, which America and Israel fear could upend the balance of power in the Middle East. The possibility of a nuclear-armed Iran raises the stakes, keeping it at the top of Washington and Jerusalem's agendas. Decades of mistrust and rivalry ensure Iran remains a focal point of global concern. During World War II, Iran's strategic location made it impossible for global powers to ignore. Officially neutral, Iran became a vital supply route, the Persian Corridor, for the Allies to send aid to the Soviet Union. Reza Shah Pahlavi, Iran's ruler, was modernizing the country but was seen as too close to Germany. Fearing Nazi influence and wanting to secure oil, Britain and the Soviet Union invaded Iran in 1941. The occupation shocked Iranians, showing how easily foreign powers could override their independence. Reza Shah was forced to abdicate, replaced by his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, whom the Allies hoped to control. American troops arrived, bringing new influence and marking the start of deep U.S. involvement in Iran. After the war, the Soviets delayed withdrawing, trying to establish pro-Soviet states in northern Iran. This triggered the first major Cold War crisis. U.S. pressure eventually forced the Soviets out. The young Shah saw America as a protector against Soviet threats. This set the stage for a close but ultimately troubled U.S.-Iran alliance. The experience left Iranians wary of foreign intervention. It also planted the seeds for future conflicts over sovereignty and influence. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the new Shah, launched the White Revolution to modernize Iran. He built schools, hospitals, and factories, expanded women's rights, and redistributed land. Western culture flourished in cities, but many rural and religious Iranians felt alienated. The Shah's rapid modernization deepened social divides and angered powerful clerics. His regime was authoritarian, silencing opposition with the brutal Savak secret police. While the elite enjoyed prosperity, many saw the changes as a betrayal of Iran's traditions and faith. The Shah's image as a modernizer masked growing repression and unrest. Forced westernization and political crackdowns fueled resentment. Beneath the surface, anger simmered, setting the stage for revolution. Iran's transformation was far from peaceful or universally welcomed. Amid the Shah's reforms, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini emerged as a powerful voice of opposition. Khomeini denounced the White Revolution as an assault on Islam and Iranian sovereignty. His fiery sermons accused the Shah of corruption and subservience to foreign powers. A law granting Americans immunity in Iran became a rallying point for Khomeini's movement. The Shah exiled Khomeini in 1964, hoping to silence him. Instead, Khomeini's influence grew. His recorded sermons were smuggled into Iran, inspiring resistance. He called for an Islamic republic where clerics would rule. Khomeini became a symbol of defiance, uniting diverse opposition groups. His message spread through mosques and cassette tapes, reaching every corner of Iran. The Shah underestimated Khomeini's appeal and the depth of public anger. Khomeini's vision would soon reshape Iran's future. During the Cold War, the Shah was America's key ally in the Middle East, bordering the Soviet Union. The U.S. provided billions in aid and military support, gaining access to Iran's oil and intelligence posts. American presidents praised the Shah, overlooking his regime's human rights abuses. For many Iranians, this alliance symbolized foreign domination and the loss of national dignity. The 1953 CIA-backed coup that restored the Shah fueled deep resentment. Lavish spending on American weapons and extravagant royal celebrations highlighted the gap between the elite and ordinary Iranians. The Shah's lifestyle seemed disconnected from his people's struggles. U.S. support for the monarchy made the Shah appear as a puppet of the West. This resentment would later explode into revolution. The close US-Iran relationship ultimately sowed the seeds of its own destruction. By the late 1970s, anger against the Shah united students, clerics, and workers into a mass movement. The Spark, a government article insulting Khomeini triggering deadly protests. Each crackdown fueled more outrage, with memorial protests growing larger and more defiant. The Shah's attempts at reform and repression both failed. Millions marched, demanding the Shah's ouster and Khomeini's return. Strikes paralyzed the country, the economy collapsed, the army faltered, and the Shah's American allies were at a loss. In January 1979, the Shah fled Iran, ending centuries of monarchy. Massive celebrations erupted as Khomeini returned from exile. The revolution had triumphed, sweeping away the old order. Iran was now in the hands of its people and its clerics. The world watched as a new era began. After the revolution, Iran was chaotic and deeply suspicious of US intentions. When the exiled Shah was admitted to America for medical treatment, fears of another coup surged. In November 1979, radical students stormed the US Embassy in Tehran, taking 52 Americans hostage. Their demand returned the Shah for trial and the wealth he allegedly stole. Khomeini quickly endorsed the takeover, using it to consolidate power and unite the country. The crisis dominated Iranian and American headlines, fueling anti-American sentiment. Moderates were sidelined as hardliners gained control. The standoff lasted 444 days, humiliating the US and crippling President Carter's administration. A failed rescue mission deepened the sense of American impotence. The hostages were released only as Ronald Reagan took office. The crisis left a legacy of deep mistrust and hostility. US-Iran relations would never be the same. The wounds of the hostage crisis still shape both nations' policies. As Iran grappled with revolution, Saddam Hussein's Iraq invaded in 1980, hoping to exploit the chaos. Instead, the war united Iranians in defense of their new Islamic Republic. Khomeini framed the conflict as a holy war, drawing hundreds of thousands of volunteers. The brutal 8-year war devastated both countries, with massive casualties and economic ruin. The West, including the US, supported Iraq, deepening Iran's sense of isolation and betrayal. American aid to Saddam, despite his use of chemical weapons, convinced Iran it could trust no one. The war ended in stalemate, but it solidified the power of Iran's clerics and Revolutionary Guard. Iran emerged battered but fiercely independent, determined to defend itself at all costs. The trauma of war would shape Iran's future, especially its pursuit of nuclear technology. Iran's nuclear ambitions began under the Shah, but after the revolution, the program took on new urgency. Secret assistance from AQ Khan's network helped Iran advance its nuclear technology. In 2002, hidden nuclear sites were exposed, alarming the West and Israel. The US and its allies accused Iran of seeking nuclear weapons, while Iran insisted its program was peaceful. Iran's supreme leader even issued a religious ban on nuclear arms, but secrecy fueled suspicion. Years of crippling sanctions followed, targeting Iran's economy and people. The standoff became a test of wills, with national pride and security at stake. The nuclear dispute remains unresolved, shaped by decades of mistrust and rivalry. Iran's quest for security and recognition continues to challenge the world.